pretty important. But so they're taking in sufficient levels of protein. So what are the signs that they're not utilizing that protein properly?
They'd be a little softer and flabbier than they should be.
Okay.
Because using protein properly, the tissues should get really quite firm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those firm tissues, once they're generated properly inside your system, will burn fat for you. But if that's not happening or not happening fast enough, then nucleic acids would be the appropriate thing to add into your nutrition.
And if they did, can they do that muscle test? Is that a good indication of whether they've got good quality muscle? So if
Jamie,
they're
how do you do that muscle test?
so if they run their forefinger across the
Exactly.
bicep and they're looking to see, is that smooth or is it slightly
Yeah,
grainy or bubbly? And
exactly.
if it's grainy or bubbly, the muscle tissue isn't dense. And the way
And
that we
just as
look at it
simple
when
as that.
we're
Yeah.
And the way that we look at it when we're training people is that we'd often say, if it's very soft or porous or grainy, and you can't do it through your clothes, by the way, you do have to touch the skin. And if it's bubbly like that, obviously if it's bubbly in that muscle, it's bubbly in other muscles throughout the body. So for example, your heart, which is 90% muscle, you want that to be dense and working well. So the firmer you are in the muscle that you can feel, the firmer it's going to, the corresponding muscle tissue throughout the body is really going to make a difference. And you'll notice, I think, well, I've certainly noticed that the firmer the person is and the smoother the muscle tissue, the higher their level of energy. So I'm presuming that if they're taking adequate protein but their energy is not coming up, maybe it's a good idea to see could they increase the nucleic acids. And I think in traditional diets, they had a much higher level of nucleic acids because they tended to eat meat sources and fish sources that had higher nucleic acids, for example, organ meats. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Whereas obviously nowadays we tend to go for the leanest cut of meat maybe because we're trying to avoid saturated fat and therefore we're missing out on the nucleic acids.
Yes, it is true. It is true. And just to return to that muscle thing there, if you make a muscle and you make it as tough as you can and press into it, and if it's still soft, now you have a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having tested thousands of people with this, then particularly, some of the ladies who won't eat enough protein, they can get very, very soft in their muscles, no matter how hard they try, as it were.